They have to, follow this other standard that other fans don't have to worry about.
Sure, it's definitely different, being an independent, because you don't play for a conference championship. You're not, your players don't have.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Here's Ventura, RBI single in the first. Watch out. Look at this. Robin took exception to the pitch. And one after Nolan Ryan.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Bill's trying to get a cosmetic score here under backup quarterback Frank Wright for the injured Jim Kelly. Wright, touchdown to Kenneth Davis. Davis from TCU has his first touchdown of the year.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Ron Brown on the inside, Grady in the middle. Here comes Lewis on the outside. Carl Lewis wins the goal.
Have you downloaded the Sikkim 365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go on this Tuesday afternoon, August the 4th. As we start 3 hours, we have one change in our schedule that we put up on social media. Baylor AD Mack Rhoades is at Big 12 athletic directors meeting. I would think most likely a Zoom meeting, and that's throughout the afternoon, so we have to move him back to tomorrow. And I'll give you some updates on a couple of things I've learned, but the Big 12 did make the decision. I felt like that was the case. I guess it just kind of got quiet, but that was one of the things that we discussed about the media day being canceled. They do make the decision, 9 conference games, everybody plays everybody, and then you have one non-conference game. According to my sources at Baylor, the non-conference game has not yet been decided because there are so many moving parts, whether it would be, it's not Ole Miss. It should be then, you would think, either Incarnate Word or Louisiana Tech, but there are maybe moving parts in what they're doing. So who knows? It might be, and I saw Dennis Dodd had a report that it could be a team that maybe is on somebody's non-conference schedule this year that's not even originally on their non-conference schedule. So there's a lot of moving parts. But aren't you guys just happy now that you can, even though the schedule has not been released, maybe they do that in the next day or two, that we do know what they're going to do, 10 games, if everything's played, and it will start sometime in the middle to late part of September.
Yeah, I'm thrilled with it. I'm glad that we know and what's going on, and that we're not – I'm also glad that they're kind of conforming to what everybody else is doing, so we don't have this college football season that's just all over the place. I mean, it's going to be that enough anyway, but I'm glad that we know what the plan is.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have that knowledge, and it's good to know what to plan for, even if there's still some things that can't quite plan for. It seems like it would be easy to just pick either La Tech or Incarnate Word, but I do understand that schedules are shuffling so much that maybe there's an opportunity to play somebody else that makes more sense. So now we await what that non-conference game is going to be, and we await what exactly the schedule is going to look like where it might be shuffled a little bit here and there. Like, for example, that Kansas game. I mean, is that going to be played week 3? We don't know. So we still need to figure some things out. But based on what we were talking about back in March when we started this show, or April, May, June, July, and now in August, there was the possibility out there that there was going to be no season whatsoever. So I'm happy as I can be as a college football fan to know that we're going to get something. And there's probably going to be some interruptions and whatnot. But, hey, it's better than just calling it quits from the very beginning.
We do know that at least there are 10 games. It appears that way. And, again, as I said, there's too many moving pieces or parts for right now for us to think whether it's Incarnate Word or Louisiana Tech. And it might disrupt who you're playing because of what other conferences do. A lot of things to get to. We'll have former TCU and Temple High star NFL running back, played 131 games in his career, Kenneth Davis. Nicole Arbach, who's been all over this Big 12 thing. She's got an insider or 10. She'll join us today at 3:30 on all the moving parts that the Big 12, maybe some of the other legitimate, not just speculation, but legitimate options that perhaps the Big 12 looked at. She'll join us today at 3:30. She and Max Olson had a big article late yesterday afternoon. Max, of course, joins us on Thursdays. Brandon Hicks, first-year coach at Rosebud Lott. They've got a history of a championship at that school, but it's been a hit and miss. He'll join us. I spoke with him a little bit over the weekend, workout day number 2 in Texas. Very confident about what he has at Rosebud Lott. David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com at 5. John McClain, Hall of Fame writer from the Houston Chronicle at 5:30 today. And we're working on a couple of different people in that 4 o'clock hour. We were just told about Mack Rhoades, and that's fine. We'll have him tomorrow right off the top of the show at 3 o'clock. So, everything's set, right? All the Power Fives, not the schedules, not all of them are set. The SEC said they're going to start working out, is it like September? No, August 17th. Yeah. That's one. I don't even think – I wonder if this – let's say that Baylor's supposed to play home, Craig, against Kansas, and that was week 3. Before it's all said and done, is there a chance if you had a home game it might not even be a home game? I would think they would keep it, right? Would keep it where it was going to be because you –
I don't think they're moving home games.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I just wouldn't anticipate anybody – being gung-ho about doing that. So.
Well, I'm just saying, if they lost a home game, then they get a home game back. But then that messes up. At least you know you're going to play those 9 games. Why change it up?
It seems really simple to just move Kansas to another date.
Yeah.
Versus we're going to play at your place now, and then because then next year you're scheduled to play there. So you don't want to play there 2 years. It's just much easier to say, hey, we're playing in week 6.
Well, who knows?
Whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree. Gary Patterson issued an apology for what his discussion was like involving linebacker Dylan Jordan. He chastised Jordan for saying the racial slur during team meetings, with Patterson repeating the word in the process. His apology, I'm not going to read the whole thing. He met with his seniors and leadership council, committed as individuals as a program to fighting racial injustice. I apologize for the use of the word that in any context is unacceptable. I have encouraged players to do better, be better. I must live by the same standards. These men and I will always be my motivation, driving force. I'm okay.
Yeah, I think that there's learning experiences for everyone, and that he clearly messed up in how he handled it. And I'm just assuming he probably let his emotions get the better of him in the discussion, but that's not something. Look, if Gary Patterson was a racist, we'd have known long before now. I think. I don't think he'd be as successful as he was.
Well, we didn't know that someone's a pedophile until long before. There's a lot of things. I don't think Gary Patterson is either. He's had a program. I know in Waco and around Baylor Nation, people don't like him. There are times he just I don't get him at all. I know, Craig, you are not a big fan either. There's just things he plays games.
That's a bit. I could care less about Gary Patterson. He means nothing to me. I don't care about him. I don't care what he thinks of me. I doubt he even knows who I am. That's just me being funny over the fact that he was paranoid enough to go and block 1 million people and then have half his coaching staff follow me in the following days. So that's weird, right? That's just kind of a weird thing for a person to do, is just randomly block hundreds and hundreds of people and then have your coaching staff go and follow someone like me. It's just very strange. So I like to play around with him a little bit. I don't think he's racist, but I also don't know him. I feel like what Paul said, that if there was something like that in his background, that you would think in 20, 30 years of coaching that would probably creep up at one point or another, and not just now. I think the player kind of put it in a different light than it actually was. He made it sound one way, whereas the players who came and rallied to Patterson's defense said, no, he shouldn't be saying the word at all. But he didn't say it as though he was labeling you that or calling you that. He was saying, don't say this word, and he said the word, and that was a mistake. And so, I do feel like there's a little bit of a double standard. This happened at certain other programs, Baylor for one. This is not me being paranoid. This is just based off of, 5 years now of looking at social media. Had Dave Aranda done this, or Matt Rhule had done this, or Art Briles had done this, there would have been a totally different reaction to this. But I guess Gary Patterson has enough respect around college football, and I know Briles didn't. Maybe Matt Rhule, I say that, and maybe he would have had a similar reaction to what Patterson's getting right now with players saying, no, that's not what happened. But terrible mistake on his part. He can't afford to do that again. I don't think it's the end of the world. And, but I do think that had this been another coach or another program in particular, we'd have a much different reaction than we're seeing right now.
He seems to not be a Teflon man, but he's close.
He's pretty close.
Now, Sun Belt, they plan 8 conference games and maybe as many as 4 non-conference games. That remains to be seen. Idaho's football team, about 3/4 of the team, doesn't want to play because of concerns about COVID.
I don't even know why they have a football program. Like, didn't they go down a level recently? They went to, Division 1AA, I think, in the last couple of years, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not even sure why Idaho has a football program to begin with. If you're already having to move down levels, that means less money. So I'm not sure.
They used to be okay, they
used to have a player from, when I followed East Texas kids all the time, they used to have a player here and there that would go out to Idaho. So that's how I first discovered them. But, they're whatever.
All right, so that's interesting. You might see some schools that just don't play, and then you wonder how that might impact things.
Okay.
Minnesota.
I'll give Idaho this. The WAC had a bunch of schools leave, and so I'll give them credit for they had to, I guess, be forced into a choice. But, yeah, I'm sure they're not the only program we're going to hear that about.
Minnesota's Rashad Bateman, a really talented wide receiver, is beginning to prepare for the NFL draft. He's a very high-level wide receiver. That hurts, obviously, row the boat.
Yeah.
That they're still okay. SEC, again, August 17th is going to start their practice calendar. Now, a couple other quick notes. We'll have Kenneth Davis at 3:15. 254-339-1122. Your thoughts about the Big 12, their decision last night. We've been waiting for this for months, basically. Your thoughts about it. And who would you like to see Baylor's non-conference game be? I would love to see La Tech. If it's Incarnate Word, that's fine. And if it's somebody else, just make sure it's somebody else good. Conley spoke with Shane Anderson. We got their games this year, and he and I talked about a couple of other things as well. Their 5th week game was going to be a repeat game against La Vega at home. That game has been canceled because District 9 4A Division 2, which is Conley and China Spring and Robinson and others, Gerald, among others, has been moved up. Their district schedule will now be week 5, which gives them, will be moved up a week. So they're going to use week 5 as a bye week, at least most of them. Play the district schedule in between a bye or after a bye, and then use the last week, week 11 is going to be a buffer week, which if in fact teams need to make up a game or so, they'll get that to do so prior to the playoffs, which now knocks La Vega out of a repeat game. La Vega's schedule could be this. West Orange Star, Conley, they're talking to Corpus Christi, Calallen, a 5A school, about a neutral game. Argyle, and then the possibility of still Sunnyvale involved.
So Connolly's only playing 9 games?
They're going to play 4 non-district games. Their games are Sunnyvale, La Vega, Springtown, and Palestine, at least for now, because the district has moved up. Andrew Billings signs a 1-year deal with the Browns.
No, he opted out.
Oh, opted out.
He signed a 1-year deal a few months ago.
Oh, he's opted
out.
out. That's interesting because I think his family has been, I see his dad on walking the dam on occasion, and they've had to deal with a few things. And so I'm sorry, I missed that. I didn't read it. Opted out for the 2020 season. And now there's some other news in the NFL. You guys tell me what you think of this, Kenneth Davis, in like 3 or 4 minutes. There's only 2 ways a player can now opt out of the 2020 season after Thursday at 3 o'clock Central. A new diagnosis, he's at high risk. Player's family member dies, hospitalized, or otherwise moves to a medical facility because COVID or related condition. So the deadline to opt out is Thursday at 3. They've been moving this thing around.
Well, and the players got mad because they tried to move it up. Because then you can understand the NFL's point of view on that is that, well, they want to know, who, if you're a team and somebody opts out, so Andrew Billings, that means that the Browns
have to replace him.
Yeah.
Or NFL teams also are about to gain tens of millions of dollars. Tom Pelissero, management council and foreign teams signing bonus proration not just unearned salary and bonuses, will be removed from the 2020 cap immediately upon notification of players opting out. So that's going on right there. Also, we'll hear more about the Cowboys with David Hellman, but also a few other things with Jane Slater reports about what Dak Prescott built in his backyard or around his home to have players help work out with him during this time period. So when we come back, Kenneth Davis, former Temple High star, played at TCU, hell of a player there, once held the single-season record until LT, LaDainian Tomlinson, broke it. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco, constantly now under a lot of change. Change when it comes to what it looks like on the inside as they have knocked down a couple of walls. They've lowered the entrance when you walk in the front door where the staff is that greets you with all the protocol of making sure they're wearing a mask and making sure you are as well. And then you check in. It's just like wide open now. It used to be almost like compartmentalized. They're doing that. They've added the bar up against the sides of what is the big room where they do bar class and yoga and Pilates and other body shaping and much more, step classes. And then, of course, inside with this, they have you have Stairmaster, you have the row machine, you have all the ellipticals in different sizes and different abilities and different types. And then, of course, you can run on the treadmill. And then outside the tennis courts where they have a big social coming up on Friday evening with Joe Rosa running the adult tennis class and also lessons and tournaments. And Britt Coleman, who's amazing with what he does, the lessons he gives to the youth and also younger adults. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Sunday and now open on Saturday. Well, they've always been open early Saturday, but open early on Sundays and throughout the day. And it's a place that can change your life, but you have to walk through the front door. A lot of other people from gyms around the area now joining Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness because of all the changes and the new 40-plus group exercise classes, including Tuesdays and Thursday mornings boot camp. It's Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, and if you need a personal trainer, Christy London, Randall Corley can help change your life, but you have to contact them. But you have to walk through the front door on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Every man knows that you got to get it right in the bed. Hey there, Jay from Pickup Outfitters here to talk about a sensitive issue and asking you, please, don't drive around town exposing your stuff. Please, cover that truck bed. This is a very serious form of truck nudity. Trucks without bed covers, and it's an easy fix. There are so many different types of covers depending on your needs and style, from folding, rolling, locking, retractable, anything from black to silver, even paint to match the original cover of your truck. Now, all these are hard, rigid covers, just like they should be. Now, there are also some soft bed covers, but you know. So don't be driving around with a bare truck bed. It's like letting people peek underneath your covers. It just ain't right. See the different types of bed covers at createacommotion.com/covers. Won't you help us end truck nudity? Stop by our showroom and see all our bed cover displays at Pickup Outfitters, just off of Waco Drive at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The Sikkim 365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Kenneth Davis, fantastic running back from Temple High School. Very, very good, record-breaking at times at TCU, and then, of course, a long career, 131 career games in the National Football League. And Kenneth Davis joins us, Paul Catalina, Craig, and David Smoke on Sikkim 365 Radio. Kenneth, thank you so much for your time. What are your thoughts right now, even though the TCU was Southwest Conference, and then, of course, they were in the Mountain West and everything else, and now a part of the Big 12. Your thoughts about all these schedules and how they've changed and how even TCU, Baylor, et cetera, they're going to play conference games only and then one non-conference games. How would that affect you in your opinion?
I think that more so than anything, I think that they got to come somewhere down the line. They got to stop and realize, I understand you want to move to this conference and go here and travel all the way over here, but you got to also think about your fan base. I think sometimes we don't think about the fan base as we really should because they play such a big part of the program.
When you think about your biggest rival, I always wonder this about TCU and Baylor because now they're the biggest rival. Who was the biggest rival for TCU when you were in school?
Baylor was one of our biggest rivals in SMU. But
Yeah.
Baylor was one of our big ones. It really was. I kind of felt like the coaches felt like when they saw Baylor that that knew that they was a real, real good team. And they talked about it a lot.
Do you have any particular memories of playing Baylor, Kenneth?
Well, I kind of remember some of the times. I know I scored a few touchdowns. I have scored some touchdowns and stuff. I think I scored maybe two or three touchdowns on them. But it was, I tell you what, it was so much of a excitement. Seeing TCU and seeing all these fans and the stands and all that, and I think about that, and and I said, wow, I played in front of all of that. It amazes me sometimes when I sit down and I think about it, or I sit down and I read something about it. I think it's pretty amazing. It really truly is, and I kind of feel like I'm just glad and highly blessed.
You ended up your last year at TCU got all screwed up because of all the things that were going on, and then you ended up not being able to play, and then didn't you try to join the NFL early? Can you kind of take us back to all of what was going on during all those moving parts?
Okay, I'll tell you what. When I left TCU, I had been there at TCU, staying around the school for the combine. Was I gonna go to the combine? And then it was also scouts coming to TCU, and they wanted me to come there and run and lift and all of that. So it was a lot going on with all that. I think that when I look at it now, and I think about what all I was going through, and when Green Bay picked me, it was very, very exciting. It really truly was. And it was like, God, he's going to Green Bay, and had always heard things about Green Bay and all that. But, God, you talking about some cold weather.
Yeah.
Well, then you upgraded and went to Buffalo.
Weather.
You go where it's 4 whole degrees warmer.
Yeah, but I had got used to it.
Yeah.
I had got used to it, and I enjoyed it. Then I think another one of the reasons that I went to Buffalo too, I knew Bruce Smith when I was at TCU. Me and Bruce Smith was on Kodak. All of those All-American teams. I mean, those All-American teams you have. Bruce Smith was on that, and then he was Buffalo's first-round pick. So when I went to visit, me and him got to see each other and to talk, and kind of one of the reasons I went on and went to Buffalo. Then I knew Thurman. I didn't really know him as I didn't know him too much on the field or anything like that. But I knew about him in person. It was pretty cool to see him there, and he's from Houston. So it was a very, very good thing for me. Very good set for me.
You were on those star-studded Bills teams, as you mentioned, Bruce Smith, also in the backfield with Thurman Thomas. Just seeing a guy like Thurman Thomas, who was as good as he was on a day-in, day-out basis, I'm sure there were some things you picked up on and vice versa, but just the experience of being with a Hall of Fame-type running back like that, how satisfying was that for you?
It was wonderful satisfying. I mean, what I understood about all of it, and I think he did too, we out here to do our best, and that's what we're going to do. He's going to do his best when he's on the field. I'm going to do my best when I'm on the field. Me and him always talked about that and stuff, and I knew some games I wasn't going to get to play, some games I knew I wasn't going to get to play. But it was still so much camaraderie, fun, exciting, talking about what's happening, talking about it. You be sitting in film in there and watching the opponent, and say, man, look at this here, look at this cut here, look at this cut back over here, look at this back here. It was great. It was a lot of fun in a lot of ways. It really was.
Kenneth, you were a part of those Bills teams that were brought up, but we had Don Beebe on recently. We've had others that are part of it. Had you won the first game against the Giants, had Norwood's kick been good, do you feel like you guys would have rattled off maybe 1 or 2 or 3 in a row?
I think that we would have rattled off 3 in a row. I think that more so than anything, 3 to 4 in a row, and I'm pretty sure that we would have. We had the momentum and the athletes and the attitude and the toughness that you need to be there. For all of that, we was well prepared for that. I tell you one thing, Coach Lieberman did a great job with us with conditioning and lifting weights, and then in your assignment, when it's a hot blitz, and when it's when to break off the route, this on the kickoff, this on the punt return. They were so in detail with a lot of stuff like that. It was. To me, in one aspect, almost ahead of their time.
Kenneth, you're run at Temple under the legendary Bob McQueen, and of course they continue to be very good now with Scott Stewart. You were on that state championship team, the first one, because Temple had lost in, I think, the San Antonio Churchill in their first ever meeting for a state title just right before that. Your thoughts about what that meant and playing football for Temple High School and that really incredible high school atmosphere at Wildcat Stadium?
Which one about them losing?
No,
about
the year that you were 3 years. Your junior year, I think it was. You won a state championship at Temple. And what was it like that year?
Right. It was incredible. It really was. It's I was a running back, a cornerback. I punted and I kicked off.
You did it all.
That's what I did I did all that year, that state championship. I think that we had such a great coaches, and I think that the city embraced us so much. I kind of think that's what it was. And then I also kind of think, too, that, that the year before that, a couple years before those games, before we won it, all these other teams, they was already put out there to win it and all that. And we wasn't that way. We was more like an underdog, more so than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Under Wildcat anyway. So it was just a little bit different. I think we had a chip on our shoulders. I'm pretty sure that we all did. And we knew how to win the chip, and we wanted to win the chip, and it was so fortunate enough for us to make it happen.
There was that great shootout at Paul Tyson, Alfred Anderson, and Kenneth Davis, and you guys went back and forth in that game. I have one more question, and I know you got to go as well. You got in trouble. TCU got in trouble when you were there, and that kind of ended your career there. But now you see athletes getting more and more and more. Do you feel like you were a kind of that you wish you could play in today's college football because athletes are getting more and they're demanding more and more and more?
Well, you know what? I am thankful for the Lord for the time that He did let me play in the years that I did, because I don't feel that it's none no greater. And I thank the Lord just for that.
Thank you, Kenneth. God bless you, man. Thank you. Where are you now?
All right.
What are you doing now?
I'm at home, sitting here, getting ready to get me a pool table, finally put it in my house.
There you go. Enjoy that.
I don't go nowhere. So I can really shoot pool.
Take care of yourself. Hey, thank you, Kenneth Davis, one of the great names in Texas high school football. TCU was LT broke his single-season record. He played possibly with Deontay's uncle, with Philip Epps. When we come back, in fact, no, she's coming up now. Nicole Auerbach, who's been all over this Big 12 conference scheduling. In fact, she had the big article last night with Max Olson. She's going to join us here momentarily in a matter of seconds to discuss some of the behind-the-scenes that were going on between the presidents and also whatever else when it comes to the Big 12.
Yeah, it was good to talk to Kenneth, and I'm sure if we had more time with him, he'd have a lot of other great stories. But still, those old Bills players just fascinate me of what they went through. The 4 years in a row of getting to a Super Bowl and never winning one. And I know not everybody was a part of all four of those, but still, like, those teams were so legendary, and it's just amazing they weren't ever able to just kind of get over the top. But they're all great to talk to.
The Athletic senior writer covering college football. She has been all over a lot of these things, college football, including the Big 12 and releasing their schedule last night. Story on theathletic.com with Max Olson, who's with us on Thursdays at 4 o'clock. Nicole Auerbach joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Nicole, thank you for your time. Great job in doing all this, the moving parts of this 2020 crazy. Was there anything that, if in fact they didn't do 9 conference and 1 non-conference game, was there another option the Big 12 was also very seriously considering?
Yeah, I think the idea was, again, the 9 conference games and then at least 1 non-conference game, but allowing flexibility to play up to 12 games total. So teams that were confident or wanted to keep a couple of non-conference opponents or add would have had the flexibility to do that. So I think there was definitely some support across the league for that and trying to put as many teams on the schedule as possible, with the understanding that, some of those games were likely to get canceled and maybe not be made up. But I think there's also, something to be said for 9+1 and having consistency across the board and all of your members playing the same amount of games, at least to start on the schedule.
How feasible really was it, with everything that everybody else had done, for them to try to get 12 games in?
Well, I mean, I think, you're going to see some group of 5 leagues that are going to allow that flexibility. The Sun Belt is basically doing that, 8 conference games and up to 12 total. So I think, it's an idea. It exists. But I do think it's easier to be in line with the rest of the Power Five, which obviously you've got 3 leagues that are going to do conference-only schedules, 10 games. And then the ACC has a 10+1, but hasn't announced those non-conference games. So, we don't know for sure if they're going to do that. But to stick around the same level and around the same start dates as the rest of the Power Five, they're not working in concert, but the fact that they're all getting to around the same point, is telling.
Nicole, did you get the feeling that this was a stressful decision for the Big 12 power guys, or was this something that they kind of had, the plan sort of ready to go and it was just more reactionary than anything else, or was there some stress involved?
Well, I think a lot of the members of the league have been on the same page throughout. I think it's been pretty collegial. And, this is a league that you have a lot of the members who are, in states that are kind of battling COVID in similar ways, similar numbers, similar rules and restrictions. I think it's more challenging in a league like the Big Ten, where you have so many more states in different parts of the country and different states that have, serious restrictions on travel right now. So I think, it makes sense with the Big 12. You've got, members in the state of Texas that are looking at, what they might possibly be able to do with capacity. You've got Oklahoma and Texas, according to sources, both trying to play Red River at the Cotton Bowl. So you have definitely a lot of people who, if they're not on the same page or on similar pages, enough to come together. And I think that's true in every league right now, but especially when you do have that, you do have a lot of geographic convenience, which you don't necessarily have. Like, let's say the Big Ten and the ACC, they stretch through a lot of different regions. And I think that's been hard through some of these conversations when people are just kind of facing different levels of reality against COVID.
What was or how much did Brigham Young even enter the discussion like Notre Dame did with the ACC?
Well, I don't think that, BYU thing is like Notre Dame at all. I was surprised at where that was popping up from because, think about it. The ACC has a financial relationship and a conference relationship with Notre Dame in every other sport and has an agreement to play X amount of games for football every single year. So to me, you're getting something. Both sides got a lot out of that deal. The NBC money is going to the ACC, and the ACC gave Notre Dame a schedule because they were getting all those games canceled on them. To me, if the Big 12 and BYU were to do something, that would have just been the Big 12 going out of its way to help out BYU. They don't have that type of relationship where their other sports are playing in that conference, and that they already play 5 games against that league every year. So. Very different scenario. It did not come up in conversations I was having with people in the Big 12.
So what does BYU do?
It's a great question. They're going to have to play, group of 5 teams. And listen, everyone, even if scheduled games have not been announced, everyone's been on the phone trying to figure things out and reach tentative agreements. And a lot of those were, predicated on seeing what the Big 12 was going to do. And the ACC and the leagues that were considering playing non-conference games. But yeah, they're going to have to schedule and scramble and do what they can. But that's life as an independent. You don't expect a global pandemic to hit and all of a sudden you can't schedule Power 5 opponents and you're going to have travel restrictions. But you've got to, figure out what you can do from there. The Mountain West is still, going to be looking for games to play and the group of 5 schools still want to play teams of that caliber. So, we'll have to see how that shakes out for BYU.
Nicole, just from all the types of, big money people, power brokers, officials that you talk to, I know that there was a sense of nervousness, and there still is to an extent over just the season itself. But now we're seeing, actual schedules being put out and teams saying they're going to play. How much nervousness do you still feel when talking to a lot of the people around college football about just how tricky this is all going to be?
Yeah, I don't think that it has, the fact that we've gotten schedules has adjusted anything in my thinking about whether or not there can be a season. I think we always thought that we were going to get, schedules put out and delayed starts and things like this of, if they're able to play, this is what it's going to look like. So to me, you're still facing all of the same challenges that you did a week ago. Now you just have, here's what it would look like if it's going to be fall 2020, but you still have the same pressure on, local healthcare systems. You still have, programs at Rutgers Michigan State that have shut down and quarantined the whole program right now. Again, travel restrictions for a number of states. You have a lot of issues that are still there. Just because you have it scheduled doesn't mean that, that's how it's exactly going to look. That's what's going to look like if those games can be played.
Nicole Auerbach with The Athletic with us, and we've got about 2 minutes left with her, and she has something else to get to as well. We appreciate your time in such a busy time. A lot of people are focused on the games in college football because the revenue is massive. Is there not enough, in a way, even though we're a sports talk show, focused on how much revenue or income a school brings in because of how many students are on campus during the upcoming fall semester?
Yeah, I think, it's important to think about beyond sports, the institutions of higher education. And there have been real concerns ever since the whole shutdown and all the students had to go home from campuses about enrollment for the fall. And that's why you've seen a number of schools try to do in-person classes or try to do hybrid classes because, they don't want people saying, I'm not going to pay because it's online only, or I'm going to do a gap year, things like this. Because if you don't have certain enrollment close to, what it normally is, then you have to make some really hard cuts if you're that institution. You've seen a number of schools that have been in tough financial positions, like Akron, have already cut some colleges and adjusted, majors in the way that they're structuring their university. Very similar to the way that, we've talked about some athletic programs having to cut sports, right? But, that's why enrollment's been so huge. And you've heard optimism from university presidents throughout the summer. And then some adjustments, down the stretch about if it's really feasible to do in-person classes because they wanted kids to enroll. They need that income from students. And, at the group of 5 level, you need students to pay student fees to fund athletics programs as well, right? So all of these things are you need students to be enrolled in college to have happen. So, above sports, and we're all wondering, what happens if there's no football season for the athletics component and the revenue that comes in for an athletics department. But schools are worried about that. And also in terms of, state appropriations and what they can get from their states are going to be affected as well by the recession. So it's very possible that colleges themselves will have to close due to what's happening right now, and that some will be really financially hit. So, it's very important to pay attention to enrollment and really just the overall health of different colleges and universities this fall as well, as we see more and more schools go online only.
How many text messages do you have going at one time? Because I can't. I know sometimes there are times, high school football here in Texas, there's decisions being made. I know what it's like, plus covering Baylor. How many blue dots? How much does that drive you crazy when you look up and there's like 15 blue dots?
Yeah, it's a lot of text messages at once. Try to get through them. I don't like leaving a lot of unread messages.
I don't either.
Fly through them, put them on the MacBook while working on some other stuff. But it's a lot. It's a lot of phone calls, a lot of texts every day.
That means you're doing your job. Thanks, Nicole. Appreciate you jumping on with us. Nicole Auerbach with us, theathletic.com. And Max Olson, she wrote the article with also Max, and he'll join us Thursday. We'll know much more about that. And one of the things about the story the Big 12 released and a couple other reports is that it still might take a little while before they get the schedule released.
Yeah, and I should have asked my question a little bit differently. I didn't phrase it right. I was more or less trying to ask if she senses more optimism now than we did a couple of months ago.
I do, but then again, every time I do, then you have the Idaho story or the Rutgers story. And here's from John, 11 Waterfields on Twitter to me. Smokey, I agree Brigham Young should play Baylor should play La Tech as the strongest remaining team, but wish Big 12 would have picked up the idea about Brigham Young. Big 12 states have 500,000 Mormons and growing, and reported to bring in $53 million in sports. Baylor, $45 million, even if just this year chance for huge benefits. I would have liked it. I think that would have been neat. I think they would have been like almost a shiny new car. Not sure if it would have worked out, though.
I think right now in this world, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of people get their rocks off on just something being different. Like whether the different is good or whether the different is bad, like we just want different because I guess the normal is not great right now. So it's like, okay, well, that'll be different. You know, like how many times have we said that? And that's just life now moving forward is that'll be different. Different doesn't always mean good, but sometimes it does. And so, we'll see on this. But, BYU would have been great. And she outlined pretty well like why it didn't work out with BYU in the Big 12, so that all makes sense. But that would have been cool, and it would have been different. And yeah, I kind of like the idea of BYU playing every team in the Big 12 and just having a new team in there to kind of shake things up and give a different look and whatnot. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Fortunately, at least on paper, we're going to get all the other conference games that we were expecting, or we're going to get every conference game that we were expecting. So I'll take that over the alternative.
The Big 12 title game, of course, being pushed back to mid to late December.
And might be played at the Rangers' new ballpark.
Might be at the new ballpark. You're right. Yeah. UAL Texas High School Championships are scheduled for that same weekend that they were going to play the Big 12. You would think somebody would have brought that up. Rosebud Lot has a new coach, Brandon Hicks. He comes in from George West, not West High School, but George West High School. He's next, his first year there. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Are you in the market for a new home or trying to sell the one you have, or both at the same time? Upsizing, downsizing, whatever you need a realtor in your corner who can guide you through anything you can come across. Well, Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, they can do that for you. Lance is a fantastic dude. He is awesome. I love talking to Lance just about anything. And if you're looking for a house, you want somebody you're going to be comfortable with, hanging out with, and looking at houses maybe sometimes all day long to find that perfect one. He's going to hear what you have to say. He's going to take it in, and he's going to help you find your dream home. Just give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And oh, there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christian London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go. High school football started back up. The actual fall workout, so to speak, started with what used to be long ago called the two-a-days, and now they just practice in certain hours and length of time. We've heard from some of the coaches. I gave you the note about Conley. La Vega, that second game is not going to be played because of the district that Conley's in, moving up their district 1 week. There's a new coach at Rosebud Lot. They have a championship pedigree, but it's been up and down. It's been sporadic. Brandon Hicks comes in from George West, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brandon, thanks for your time. Did you appreciate this week, maybe yesterday, in workouts back as the fall workouts begin, perhaps more than any others because of all that you've been through and all that we've been through?
I want to honestly say that it's probably been the best week of my life for two reasons. Number one, this has been a career goal of mine to be a head coach. So you got that going, and then with the obvious challenges that we faced and everything, you throw that in with being able to get back to some form of normalcy has been really just an amazing 2 days, and then combine that with the attitude and the approach that my kids have taken. It's just been, you always get excited. It's hard to sleep that first night before the first day of 2 days, but I find myself doing that again last night, and it'll probably be the same for me tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, Coach, the workouts this summer, did you notice when you finally got back together, was there like a level of intensity that was ratcheted up maybe a little bit more?
I did. I don't know whether I would attribute that to two different things. I think there's two factors that play into that. Number one, obviously, kids just wanting to get back and do something. Combined with the fact that, we've had success in the past. I've been a coordinator, and we've been really successful the last 5 years, and I've had to constantly fight complacency. I find myself in a different situation here, and I'm not having to motivate these kids. These kids are intrinsically motivated, and they're hungry. And so I didn't feel the need to ratchet up the intensity or anything like that. I just kind of let the dog eat, and they're ready to roll. So it's been really exciting.
Coach, being a head coach now, how many hours and hours did you think about what it would be like to run your own program and how you would do it and all those types of things, and being able to have that fulfilled now and actually be able to do it is kind of what you thought so far?
It is. We're a little bit of a smaller school, so there's some things that you don't really realize that you're going to be doing that on the other side of it, that's not so much X's and O's. I will say that's one thing that was great about being a coordinator is you just stuck to the X's and O's. But on the other end of it, this is what I've always wanted to do, and it's a lifelong dream. And my father did it, my wife's father did it, so it's something I've always wanted to do. And now being in this position, it's really, you learn how to value your staff as well, because being surrounded by the staff I have, I feel really blessed. It's a young staff, but I don't think you're going to find a more excitable group of guys that can relate to kids than what I have here in Rosebud Lot.
When you and I spoke a little bit over the weekend, just a little bit, and you'd mentioned where you come from and the success you'd had, there was not, I couldn't see a twinkle in your eye because we were on the phone, but there seemed to be a little bit of an upbeat optimism. They're coming up 0-10. Rosebud Lot didn't win a game last year. They had a 2002 team that won a state championship back in many years ago, but that's in the lineage, that's in the blood, the cholesterol, whatever. What is it that gives you that kind of optimism?
I'm glad you asked that. I'm going to tell you, I didn't go too far into detail on that, and I'm not going to go too far into detail that. And that's something that I kind of preach to my kids is we're going to keep everything internal, and we have our mottos, we have our slogans for the season, and they're all acronyms. And I've had parents in the area ask me, well, what does this mean that's going on this shirt and that kind of stuff. And I don't think that's for anyone else to know. I think that we've seen the Dave Campbell's rankings, we've seen all that kind of stuff. I know what they came off last year. But at the same time, David, I also know what I have out on the practice field right now, and I know that I'm very pleased with what I see. And all we have to do is believe. And I think my kids, my athletes, they believe. And I've seen some stuff from kids that, number one, they didn't play. We've got a couple kids who may not have played in the last year or two. Mm-hmm. And we got some kids, and we're young. We're really young. But at the same time, if we can believe now and not know any better, we could be a scary team. But I'd rather everyone just kind of write us off, and I'm fine with that because I'll keep it that way. And I've always said, I don't consider us underdogs because I know what we have. Mm-hmm. But if other people want to consider us that way, then I'm just perfectly fine with that.
Well, you guys can hear what I heard from that. I mean, It's exactly what I heard from you before, and that's the case. When there's a transition, Brad Ballard 2 years ago, then Raphael Williams there for a year at 0-10, or even if it would have been 16-0, and now you. How much of that actually cleanses maybe the program? Nothing against the guys that were there before. I knew Brad pretty well. But how much of that allows you then, or young people, to listen to you because of the change, and they probably get tired of that, and so that whatever you're saying, they might listen to more?
Well, I think some of that comes back to, them being hungry, but at the same time, I see what you're saying, but I think it can also be a negative in the fact that in this profession that we're in, we have to, it's a trust relationship, and these kids have to have trust in what we say. And sometimes when you have a lot of turnover, I know it can be tough on kids to believe in something that a coach is saying when they say, this guy might be gone. So to me, in that aspect, it's actions speak louder than words. And when we come up there every day and we're excited and the kids can see that, and that's not just, that we're not just doing a 9 to 5, we're up here because we want to be here and we're excited. It rubs off, and I've always said success breeds success, and I'm telling you right now that energy breeds energy. We're bringing the energy, the kids are feeding off of that, and I think that over time, that's how those kids kind of start to believe that. I'm not a big guy for flash and show, and when it comes to talk, we can all do that talking and all that kind of stuff. To me, it's about the meat and potatoes, and that's kind of what I preach to my kids, and they've eaten it up so far. So at this point, it's just a matter of walking the walk, and not just talking the talk.
Back, if you look at the history of Rosebud Lot, 12-1 in 95, 11-2 in 96. They won it all. They beat Cisco in 2002 in a dominant fashion. Had an 8-4 team back in 2013, and then things have just kind of been hitting and missing as well. So yesterday you started working out. Pads Friday, is that correct? Is that back to the normal schedule of what you would have if it hadn't have been for COVID?
Yes, sir. So shoulder pads tomorrow, half shells, and then we'll go pads on Friday, but it won't be full contact. It won't be full contact until Saturday. And we'll do what it's called a little watermelon watch. It's a tradition here in Rosebud Lot. So I'm not quite sure what I'm in for there, but I'm excited. sounds like I might get to eat some watermelon, so I'm good with that.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
If you don't, you need to change the name of that.
Yeah.
That tradition.
Hey,
You're
Coach.
Exactly right.
Coach, when other teams play you and they play Rosebud Lot, led by Brandon Hicks, what do you want them to be thinking or saying after that game is over? What kind of mentality do you want to instill, and what kind of impact do you want to leave on opponents?
Oh, I want them to not want us on our schedule next year. I want them to try to get rid of us on their schedule. That's my ultimate goal. I want us to be a team that can hold our heads high, and my kids can be proud to wear those Cougars on the front of their jerseys. We're going to fight. I can promise you that. And I think my system is a good system. It's nowadays in football, I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything like that, but we're very multiple, and I want it to be hell on opponents to try to prepare for that. And so we do a lot of different things. Now obviously I'm not gonna give my kids one they can handle starting out, so what I'm hoping is we can kind of work our way to that, and then by district we're showing things that people haven't seen. And that's one good thing about being new and to the area and stuff is not having a lot of tape on my offense. So I think that's a definite bonus.
Brandon, appreciate it. Love your attitude. Thank you very much, Coach. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon. Now get me those answers. You know, I sent you.
You got it, brother. You got it, brother.
No, I'm kidding. We did well. You did great. I'm glad we had you on. Whenever you have time, no rush, but appreciate your time.
Not a problem. Go Cougars.
Brandon Hicks, first-year head coach at Rosebud Lot. Brett McMurphy just popped this out maybe 3-4 minutes ago. The states of Colorado and Minnesota have moved their high school football seasons to spring.
Huh. Good luck, Minnesota. Good luck with that.
Have fun with your future, Minnesota.
That can you imagine trying to play a high school game? Not in a dome in Minnesota in January and February.
Nope. Can't imagine it. Wouldn't want to do it. Glad I don't have to. And, I think it'll be really interesting to see. I have pretty much at this point stopped following like updates on things that are going on, like COVID related and all that, because it's just like the same thing every day. So like I was saying yesterday, like I just go about my business, do what I need to do to respect others and keep to myself. So it's not like I'm going crazy and defying laws or anything like that, but I'm very interested in how the spring works out for all of these teams and leagues that have decided to move there, because it is going to be jam-packed, and there is absolutely no guarantee that anything will be different at that point. I would sure as heck hope so, that in 5 months it's different, but we don't know that. So I guess cross your fingers if you're a Minnesota high school football player or other winter sport athlete and just pray that it will actually happen. But just because it's been moved doesn't mean it's going to happen. So, like I said, we'll see.
Yeah, that's thanks to Brandon Hicks. We'll see what happens. And, of course, you're right. It's almost every day there's something, and then you feel like there's hope, and then there's something, and it's going back and forth. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, their employee pricing month was a massive success, and hopefully you're able to take advantage of some of the great deals at Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They are the people that you can count on. They disinfect their showroom daily. They have been keeping in mind this entire time the health and safety of their customers, whether that's, providing you with a test drive that they bring to you or just the way they wipe down the showroom and account for everybody that's moving through there. So right now, qualified buyers can save over $7,000 on 2020 Acadias or Yukons, or save over $6,000 on GMC Terrains. You've also got the Buick Encore. It's the perfect crossover SUV right now. You can grab an Encore for $19,900. It's a savings of $6,000. They've also got the line of Cadillacs, the XT4, XT5, the XT6, which is a bit roomier. It's got 7 passengers. You can experience the thrill of owning the Cadillac XT4 right now for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. They've got great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and in-town priority warranty service every time you buy a vehicle. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They just want the chance to earn your business. So as I mentioned earlier, stop by the Daily Disinfected showroom, see their safety-focused staff there at their place, or they can bring the test drive to your home, because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at Richard Carr, that's KARR.com, or Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more. In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through, and business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Summertime means vacation time, and while this summer may be different, at Allen Samuels, you can always count on our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Brand spanking new 2020 Ram Lone Star Crew Cabs. Now 0% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $10,250 in total values. America's most loyal half-ton pickup owners are Ram owners. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s from Allen Samuels.